I saw this movie not because of a trailer, but because of a YouTuber. Welcome back to HMP. My name is Adam, and I am a YouTube addict. That's right, I watch far too much YouTube. Far more than I really care to even mention here. I got YouTube Premium, for crying out loud. That's like $4,000 a month. I really think it's the ads though, you know? I don't think I'd really watch as much YouTube if I had to watch ads. Please watch the ads for this video. With its cryptic title, I clicked on the most recent video from Penguin Zero, aka Moist Critical, aka Charlie, aka the Littlest Prince. You know him, you love him, and this was the fastest I ever stopped watching one of his videos.
This is the second time this year already that I have been surprised to go into a film expecting it to be irredeemable, nearly unwatchable garbage, only to walk away pleasantly surprised that it was a decent film. First time was with the Hard Eyes Killer movie, and now this time it's the new Blumhouse flick, Drop.
Now, am I saying that Charlie has that much sway over me attending a movie? Well, Charlie, as much as I like you and how many of our movie opinions seem to be aligned together, it isn't you who sold me on this movie entirely. It was Blumhouse. I knew the movie was called Drop, I knew it was a Blumhouse joint, and I knew that Charlie liked it. That's all I knew going in. Seriously, I had no idea what this movie was about. I actually thought it might be like Fall or something, and it is most assuredly not that. Here's the IMDb plotline for Drop. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A widowed mother's first date in years takes a terrifying turn when she's bombarded with anonymous threatening messages on her phone during their upscale dinner, leaving her questioning if her charming date is behind the harassment. Man, something must be going on with IMDb lately, man. These have been decent plot lines. Don't make me think that you're starting to stray off the path, IMDb. That's not your way. Now, I want to preface this review with some information that may actually be useful to you. As mentioned before, this is a Blumhouse picture, and with the name Blumhouse is very much often associated to, but not limited to, horror films. And Drop falls into that not limited to category. Despite the cryptic opening scene, Drop is not a horror film, but more of a modern-day Hitchcockian thriller directed by one of my favorite modern horror directors, Christopher Landon, who you might recognize as the director of such films as Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, a movie that is far better than it has any right to be, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, highly underseen movie, as well as Death Day 1 and 2, and Freaky, and a Netflix film that I haven't seen called We Have a Ghost with Anthony Mackie. Is that any good? Let me know in the comments. Drop is written by Julian Jacobs and Chris Roach, most notably for their Blumhouse movies Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island, but don't hold those films against this one. Megan Fahey plays Violet, a widowed mom who's getting out into the dating world, and during this first dinner, she keeps getting these drops, which are essentially like airdrop messages and stuff, but they're not going to pay Apple for the use of airdrops, nor do I imagine Apple really wants to have airdropping being associated with harassing people, but that is the premise of the movie, and if you're anything like me, you're quickly starting to think like, well, listen, this has got to be easy to get out of, right? But much like Landis's other work and stuff, he starts making you think that you've got things figured out, but then he throws in just one more element on the table to complicate things enough. The majority of the movie takes place in a high-end restaurant, and with the limited amount of distance that someone can be to actually deliver a drop file and everything, our secret tormentor has to be somewhere close by. Is it the bartender? Is it the guy who's been kind of waiting for someone to show up, but they never really do? Is it the day one waiter who belongs more in a TGI Fridays than he does in a high-end restaurant? I absolutely love hating that guy. I've worked in the service industry, and he was just far too real for me. I love it so much. So it could be anyone, including her date. The drops are shown on screen in an interesting way, and I'm glad that we've really kind of figured out how to make social media and cell phones work on the big screen and everything. Chris Roach's other movie, Nonstop, with Liam Neeson a couple years back, they did this as well. So I'm not surprised that they've kind of got it down to this nice little pattern, having these dialogue scenes with essentially just one person present. And that's what really works about this movie. It's just red herring, red herring, red herring, red herring, red herring. But it doesn't matter. You want this. You want to question everyone, and that's why this movie works. It's very Hitchcockian in that way. Hitch was an absolute master of this, and when a master tells you how things work, why don't you do exactly that?
4 people are sitting around a table talking about baseball, whatever you like, and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table. and will go off in 5 minutes. Now the conversation about baseball becomes very vital, because they're saying to you, don't be ridiculous, stop talking about baseball, there's a bomb under there.
And that's what Landon does here. There's a great ratcheting up of the tension, and you're flipping and flopping as to who you think actually might be behind all of this stuff. Tension is built, it's released, rinse and repeat. Ultimately, it left me pretty satisfied. I don't want to talk about the film too much more because I think that's part of the fun of movies like this, is going on that ride. And this is a ride that most people can actually get on. It's a PG-13 film, but it feels like a lot of other Christopher Landon's PG-13 rated material, which is pretty good because Landon doesn't feel like he needs to stay in either like that PG-13 world with films like Drop and Happy Death Day, but still not afraid to do R-rated movies when it comes to things like Freaky or Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. It's nice to see someone who doesn't let a rating dictate the quality of a film. As I mentioned in a previous video, I think Jason Blum is probably one of the best producers out there today, if for nothing else, for the fact that he's one of the few producers out there who's actually making money on his movies. Take this movie, for example. Drop was made for $11 million, and as of this recording, it's made $20 million at the worldwide box office, and I would guess, based upon kind of history and everything, it's likely to double that number by the end of its theatrical run. Keeping budgets down and the sizzle high is a recipe for success, but it could be more successful if they knew how to advertise. And that's the reason I framed this video like this. Charlie made me aware that this movie was even a thing. I know the budget's low, but that doesn't mean that the advertising budget for this movie is zero. Did you see advertisements for Drop anywhere? I mean, or have I just kind of premium paid my way out of seeing ads and stuff? Because sure doesn't feel like it. But I would recommend that you see Drop at a matinee. There's a lot of talk on the internet these days about how original movies like Drop are, coming out and everything, but people still aren't going to see them. Now, I do contend that a lot of that has to do with how expensive it is to go to the movies these days, but that's another video for another day. Did you see Drop, and would you have been more likely to see it if it cost half your normal ticket price? Be a dirty baby and let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. A widowed mother's first date in year A widowed mother's first date